Notre Dame just went on the road against a team that isn't all that great, but definitely presents some challenges and picked up a quad 2 win against NC State. Big win for Notre Dame. They were in Joe Lunardi's field of 68 a few days ago, I think this morning actually, and he said this was a must-win game for them to stay in the field, and they did that. So big win for Notre Dame. They go on the road and a sneaky tough game to win, honestly. A team that can really get you out of character offensively. We saw today Serquavion Smith and Deron Sebron, just how much they can really challenge you in terms of their scoring ability and how explosive they are. Jarek All-Helms didn't really do all that much, but they're the team that has some really good scorers. And it's a game that Notre Dame goes into not having won a lot at NC State. They've really had some challenges there over the years, even some of their better teams. And good to get over the hump there finally. I was going to say where that is, but I couldn't tell you what city that's in. But it's good for Notre Dame to get a win there, especially on somewhat short rest, their fourth game in 7 days. And Notre Dame puts together a pretty solid game with no Nate Laszewski on essentially no Nate Laszewski on wouldn't say short rest, but in the grind of a grueling schedule against a team who can really get you out of character. Did get him out of character in the first game, a guy who can take over and another guy who can take over, and in a place that Notre Dame hasn't won much for a quad 2 win. I'll take that all day. So good win for Notre Dame. Got some contributions from everyone in the absence of Nate Laszewski. I think pretty much everybody scored in double figures. Dane Goodwin was the only starter besides Nate Laszewski who didn't. Trey Wertz got into double figures, which was great to see. Getting more into him later. And Cormac Ryan only had 3 points, but that three was a huge shot that did a lot for Notre Dame down the stretch. And as Cormac always does, played really good defense and kind of set the standard early defensively for how they wanted to play. And they really kind of echoed that throughout the game. Anthony Solomon is a magician based on – if you watch, say, the NC State game from last year and then watch today, the defense is so noticeably different. Same thing with Louisville. If you watch that Louisville game from last year when they were in that zone, and then you watch how they played zone against Louisville a few weeks ago, it's noticeably different. Obviously, the styles are a little different. Notre Dame's playing more of a pack line-esque defense, not a straight-up pack line. And the zones come a little bit farther out on the wings. But, man, Notre Dame is just executing so much better defensively. They're moving their feet. They're getting their hands up. They're being physical, which they didn't do much of last year. And it's just awesome to see them come out with defensive intensity. And today that took them a long way, even only with 6 guys. So that's certainly something I like to see. And then the zone was also executed really well. Got NC State out of a lot of what they're doing. And that was a great call by Mike Bray for all of his faults today, which he showed, and I'm going to get into in a minute. The zone was a game changer. It helped to save their legs, helped to cut off drivers, and it helped to make the game shorter. What I mean by that is it's not a track meet. There's not as many possessions. And Notre Dame's got a better chance if that's the case with the 6-man rotation and everything that was going on in the game in terms of them kind of falling off at some points offensively. And the safety blanket didn't do all that much at times. But overall, solid defensive performance, one of their best in a while. And the defense has looked much better lately. It seems like they're really coming into their own. I said Anthony Solomon is a magician. So good one on the defensive end, and the offensive end was also pretty freaking good tonight. They started off really well, went into a bit of a lull when Paul Atkinson picked up his second foul. They didn't have a low post guy running 5 out, and NC State pretty much proved they could guard that. They were switching a lot of stuff and just gave Notre Dame challenges all over. That Dane Goodwin play where he got the backcourt violation was a bit of a microcosm of that. And hey, they came together at the end and put together a great offensive performance, even with those bad stretches and even without Nate Laszewski. So that's definitely something for them to be proud of. Everybody contributed in the absence of Nate, and just a solid team win for Notre Dame today on both ends. So this was a quad 2 win and one they should really be proud of. Going into kind of the one negative of this game, it's the rotation, and luckily it didn't come back to bite them. If Atkinson had picked up a foul earlier in the second half, he had 4. But if he had picked up one earlier in the second half, then they could have really been in trouble. I think Matt Zona might have had to go in, and I thought he should have been in right before the half. They had to play with some horrible personnel groupings. Dane Goodwin at the 5 should never happen. It doesn't matter how not ready Matt Zona is. He's a sophomore. He's played before, and you've seen that he can do some things for you on the glass. But putting Dane Goodwin into 5 is certainly not ideal. I think that might have been a little bit different if NC State had, say, Manny Bates, who went down the first game of the year. I think if they had him, certainly would have been different. Zona would have gone in. They didn't necessarily need him, but Bray was really pushing his limits today. Sorry about the stupid-looking hair also at the beach. I have had hair. But I thought Zona not being out there was kind of a result of the matchup and Bray not thinking he's fully ready, which I think he's probably right about, but I feel like there's also a time and place to put him in, and today was part of that time and place. I'm just going to mess with my hair until you click off the video. I don't click off the video, but that's kind of my thoughts on the rotation. He really pushed his limit there today, and they're lucky that NC State couldn't capitalize. It looked like they were going to for a while with kind of just how they were pushing the pace and how they were challenging Notre Dame, getting on runs. When they went up 38-37, it really didn't seem like Notre Dame was going to come back in this game, but they did. Even without Paul Atkinson at his best, they still found ways to get out of scoring ruts and find a way to win this game. So good one there. Prentiss Hubb. Prentiss Hubb was awesome today. This was maybe his best game of the year. 13 points, 5 of 10 from the field, 3 for 6 from 3. When you shoot 50% from 3, not bad at all. The stat I love, 0 turnovers and 4 assists. Mike Bray would be very proud of that assist-to-turnover ratio, 1,000% assist-to-turnover, and that's certainly something to be proud of for Prentiss Hubb. He has really developed in that aspect, and that's got to be something that Mike Bray's proud of. And Prentiss Hubb is officially a Mike Bray point guard, 0 turnovers, and he shot it really well today. He got to the rim a couple times, I think, and overall was just all around. Actually, he got to the rim once, but overall was solid. And if they can get this Prentiss Hubb that they've got this week, they're going to be in great shape. And same thing goes for Blake Wesley today. He was really solid, still in a bit of a shooting slump, but he's done other things, and he showed that today. He got to the rim, and I think he really showed off that Notre Dame hasn't had a player like him in terms of guys who can get to the rim in a few years, probably since Demetrius and Jaron. But we saw that in full effect today. He went coast to coast in the next possession in the half court, took it to the rim also. Blake Wesley is one of the best transition players I've seen at Notre Dame. He did a better job playing off 2 feet today. Obviously, the jumper still wasn't falling, but looked a little more composed today than he did against Miami and against Duke. And I thought he was all around solid today, especially against a team with all that length and reach on the perimeter. The play that really struck me wasn't the transition play. It was where, I don't know if anybody remembers this, he caught it on the right wing, pulled through or swung through, and then there was a help side guy on the block, and he went off 2 feet and floated over him. I think that's a huge sign of progress for Blake Wesley, and that's certainly something for Notre Dame fans to be proud of. 14 points for him today. Would have been the leading scorer if Paul Atkinson didn't get like a late bucket, but overall solid for Blake today. Still had 3 turnovers and only had 1 assist today, but love the way he was attacking the basket, and if they can get that more consistently from him, take it. I think they had to have told him something about attacking today, especially without much of a rim protector on NC State. Their one rim protector was a little bit banged up heading into this one, and Blake took full advantage, got to the rim at will, even against athletic, long defenders. So lots of like from Blake Wesley today, and also lots of like from Cormac Ryan, who, like I said, only had 3 points, but that 3 was huge, put him up 7. I think it was 51-44, if I remember correctly. He's hit some really big shots lately. In the last week, outside of Duke, he's played really well. The defensive intensity has been great, made some huge plays on Wednesday, also made some big plays on that end tonight, and just kind of set the tone for them defensively, even though he wasn't in at the beginning. Just came in off the bench and made some big plays defensively, just got his chest into guys, was moving feet, and you can't ask for more from Cormac Ryan, especially when you get the kind of performance he did from guys like Trey, Blake, Prentiss, and even Dane, who didn't have his best game today, but I think he was put into a little bit of a rough spot playing the 5 against all that length. 5 for 10 from the field, 0 of 4 from 3, and most of those were open, but still found a way to finish with 12 and 10. And Dane's not going to have it every night. I think we had it way too good with him for a while. You can't expect that every night from a guy who isn't a Durant run level athlete or off the dribble scorer. Dane's going to give you solid production, though. He's going to score in double figures pretty much every night except for Duke. And he found a way to get in double figures today, and 12 and 10 I'll take from him, even if he isn't hitting big shots. But when guys like Trey Wertz step up like they did today with 12 points, 4 for 6, 2 for 3, just look so confident, you don't need Dane Goodwin. Trey, I think the thing with Trey is, like, it's not that he's not playing well, it's that he's not hunting his shot. He's not really, like, involved in the offense all that much. He's kind of just lost in the shuffle. We saw what he could do today. He's probably got, like, the silkiest jump shot on the team. He can hit it over guys. He can get to the basket a little bit, and just did it really for a while there. Didn't at all this week, really, but stepped up today in the absence of Laszewski. Got a little more involved in the offense and hit a huge shot. I think it was to tie it. Got some momentum back, and he ripped Sebron a few times too, which was huge to get out in transition. So good on Trey Wertz today. I'd love to see him succeed. He's just a total Notre Dame guy, and somebody who I'm still pretty high on in terms of a skill set guy. I just think he's got to find more of a defined role, and I'm not sure if that'll really happen with the 7-man rotation that they run, just because there's so many good guards in it. But good performance by Trey Wertz today. Liked what I saw from him, and I think he can do that pretty much any time you call upon his name. They just haven't really done it all that much. In terms of, and I feel the same way about this guy, but he actually has got an opportunity. Paul Atkinson is the last guy I got to talk about. Didn't really have his best today, turned it over a bunch, finished with 6 turnovers, but still had 15 points. Got on the glass pretty well, I think, when he finished with 9 boards. He got to 10 in the last seconds, but solid outing for Paul Atkinson in terms of stats. I thought he could have helped him a little bit more coming out of runs by NC State, kind of being the safety blanket, but still had a quiet 15 today. And it's really all you can ask from Paul Atkinson. I think he's playing his best basketball lately. I thought he could have really worked a mismatch tonight, but hey, if you can get 15 and 10 from him, perfect. You got 2 guys with a double-double against an ACC team today. Can't really complain about that. And Paul Atkinson staying out of foul trouble, not picking it up. Well, he wasn't foul trouble late, but if he picked up a 3rd foul early in the second half, Notre Dame would have been screwed. And I think that's something we got to commend him for, because if Paul had picked up a foul within, like, the first 5 minutes of the second half, Notre Dame would have been absolutely screwed in terms of the lineups they had to run in. He didn't, and that's a veteran play. It's a good job of Notre Dame of hiding him in that zone and kind of hiding him even in man. So good on the other vets and Bray for kind of hiding him, but also good on Atkinson for not picking up that foul. This game would have been completely different if he had, and overall wasn't his best, but he showed how important he was today to Notre Dame, and he was a huge factor in them finding a way to win this game by double digits. So overall, an impressive win by Notre Dame. NC State obviously is not that great. Helms didn't play all that well, but Notre Dame had no Nate Laszewski, went on the road to a place they haven't won much against a team that got them out of character last time they played offensively, has a few unbelievable scores, and Notre Dame still found a way to come out and win this game by double digits and cement themselves in the bracket, at least for now. So Notre Dame is going to see Louisville on Wednesday, and I'm looking forward to Louisville coming to Joyce Center and seeing if they've improved at all since Notre Dame had their awesome performance at the Yum Center a few weeks ago, where Wesley looked like a pro. I don't know that he looked like a pro today just because of his shooting. I actually don't think his shot selection was all that bad. I think I only counted one really bad shot that he took. I think both the threes were open. I think it was a mid-range that he took that I wasn't a huge fan of, but he seems to be improving in terms of just playing off 2 feet and everything. I could talk about Wesley for hours. This wasn't even supposed to be a time to talk about him, but could talk about any player on this team or basically any player in college basketball for hours. So shoot me a DM if you want to talk about any of those players. But that's about all I got for this one. Solid win for Notre Dame, solid quad 2 win, underrated on the resume. And I'll be back on Wednesday night to talk Louisville versus Notre Dame, hopefully in the same tone I'm talking today. So thank you guys for watching. Really appreciate everybody for sticking around. Even when Notre Dame wasn't winning, the views were pretty good. So appreciate all the support, and I'll be back Wednesday.